Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor. Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast.
Unfortunately, guys, welcome to Live with CDP Sports Talk, Season 5, Episode 27. Unfortunately, there are some technical difficulties with my opening intro. I will try to figure them out for the next show, but I do apologize, as I do like hearing Tim St. Clair's voiceover with my opening video. But again, guys, thank you for tuning in to Live with CDP Sports Talk on this Sunday, February 19th, 2023, 1 week after the Super Bowl. And it's kind of like I already missed the NFL 1 week later, but I'm looking forward to today's show. Before we get to our guest today, guys, I'm just going to let you know, as always, today's Live with CDP podcast is sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet, 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. You can check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give Barry Cullen dealership a call at 519-824-0210, or email them at information@barrycullen.com. And also, guys, you can do your pre-orders now for the all-electric Silverado pickup truck or the all-electric Cadillac Lyriq. And speaking of Cadillac Lyriq, they do have one now at Barry Cullen Chevrolet, where you can now book an appointment for a test drive at Barry Cullen Chevrolet. So either book it through barrycullen.com's website, or give them a call again at 519-824-0210 as well. And again, thank you to Barry Cullen Chevrolet for sponsoring Live with CDP Sports Talk, which is celebrating its 247th episode today as well. All right, guys. My guest today, her name is Maya Ellison. She is the sports director for WANM 90.5 FM in Tallahassee, Florida, and she also directs and coordinates activities of personnel engaged in broadcast sports news. And she's also a journalist, and looking forward to speaking to Maya about her career in media and broadcasting and that as well. So just 1 second, I'm going to bring on today's guest. Maya, good afternoon.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Sorry about that technical difficulty. We spoke about it in the green room, and
I know.
unfortunately, I don't know why it froze like that, but I guess sometimes things happen when you're live
I was
streaming
about
as
to
well.
say, yeah, it's all good. Like we were talking about in the broadcast world, you just gotta get acclimated to expecting the unexpected, right?
Roll with the punches.
Roll with the flow. Exactly.
Yes.
It's all good.
So how's the weather in Tallahassee, Florida right now?
I don't know whether to say hot or cold. Like when you're looking out the window, you think it's gonna be hot, but when you step out, it's like really cold. It kind of reminds me of like Georgia a little bit, but in Tallahassee right now, it is cold. I guess like the rest of the country, but yeah, it's pretty cold outside. That's why I got my long sleeve going on, representing my university,
Miami, right?
Florida A&M.
Florida
I go
A&M.
I go to Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. It's an HBCU in Tallahassee, Florida, just down the street from Florida State. And I love it here. I'm from Atlanta, and we'll get to kind of why I attended FAMU, but yeah, I really do love it here. I feel like I've made great strides here, being a Rattler. It's in my blood, basically.
Yeah, I haven't been to Florida since I was a baby back in the 70s, so I really should come back and visit Florida at some
Yeah.
point. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not a native of Florida, but I guess I've been here for 4 years. Not gonna say I'm a native of Florida, but I guess I kind of it's not in me that I go to school here, so it's all good.
How far is where you are now from home in Georgia?
It's actually a 4-hour drive, and it's not that bad. It's really a straight shot. You got to take a few back roads, and then you make it to Tallahassee. But it's like a college town, and it's 4 hours from where I'm from. I'm from Stone Mountain, which is like metropolitan Atlanta area. But somebody asked, I'm from Atlanta.
So how many years is this program that you're taking right now currently?
Yeah, so I graduated in 2023, well, this year in May, and the program was a 4-year program. It's an undergraduate program. So out of high school, I decided like I wanted to go to FAMU because my dad went here. Both of my parents went to AU's. My dad went to Florida A&M, and then my mom went to Alcorn, which is a HBCU in Mississippi. And so it was kind of like, they taught me and they showed me, just how going to an HBCU and then going out into the working world, both of them working in the computer science industry, I realized, okay, maybe HBCU is for me. So I tried my luck at FAMU and I got in, and I've been here for 4 years, really just grinding and hustling it out. I knew coming in, I have conversation with so many of my friends, like, how did you know about what you wanted to do? Or did you already know off rip that you wanted to be a journalist? And I was like, yeah, I was blessed enough to go to schools in Georgia that already, I guess, opened up that realm for me. Like they had, I was doing like reporting on camera in 4th grade, no joke. Like I started doing that. You do it for play, but then as I got older, I was like, wait, I really like this. I like telling stories. I like interviewing. And then, of course, I played tennis since I was like 3 or 4. My dad was my coach, and of course, being a father at the same time. So that really influenced me to just combine both my love for sports and my love for storytelling into being a journalist. So coming to FAMU, I started out doing like anything I could think of, reporting, um, going out, being my own MMJ, my own writer, just doing things like that, things I'm excited about, really. And I've been doing that for 4 years and really just following the mantra of to be the best journalist and to be the best, like up just top in the industry. You want to be able to understand everything, whether that be working behind the camera, whether that's working on like audio and video, being a reporter. Like you can attest to that. And so it's just the love and the want to really grind and hustle it out in this industry that I love. And being here at FAMU, it's really taught me that.
I was gonna say, when I was back in the '90s, when I was in my 20s, I did like
Hmm.
broadcasting, but I just didn't.
Hmm.
They didn't have the technology like they did now. But you know what? It's
Yeah.
never too. My story is a little different from everyone else's, but I'm just proving. I'm trying to prove to people that it's never too late to switch careers. And I love hearing my guest stories. And my story, I was just in the right place at the right time. Did some camera work, and
Exactly.
then it led to my podcast show, and then I do freelance media work, and I'm now learning how to do live interviews and digital writing. I
Yeah.
guess they call it blogging, but I call it digital writing. So yeah,
Digital writing.
yes. So I'm just trying like it yourself. I think my story is a little different than yours, but I think I can relate to you because I'm just trying to learn as much as I can,
Yeah.
volunteering and also working for the local university here as a camera operator as well.
Yeah, what people tell me all the time, you want to be a sponge and no matter what room you walk in, right? Like I come in and the first thing, like for I'll tell an example. For example, let's say I apply for a job, right? And let's say you get no's, or let's say you go out for something at your own job and you get the answer no. You take that opportunity to learn some of the reasons as to why you weren't denied or why you were denied the opportunity. But then it also gives you a chance to network and say, okay, let's say I apply again, or let's say I go out for like a TV or camera op position, right? You can cater to those skills, because a no can be a yes to someone else, or it can be just that one word can be the push that you need to really grind and really just understand, okay, this is the skill set that I need to work on in this industry. And I want to be able to understand everything. You have to be a sponge. And that's some of the things that have really taken me far in this industry by just gravitating and really networking with everyone, no matter who they are.
Great advice, and I couldn't say it better myself. And one thing too is rejection is a part of this industry. I've been rejected a number of
Yeah.
times. I've had a
Same.
couple radio stations turn me down, but one of them told me what I needed to do, gain a little more experience,
Yeah.
a little bit in the news. I created a new podcast, a monthly news podcast, and it's local news, local businesses with a co-host. So I'm going
Mhm.
to prove that I can work with a co-host and do shows there. We all love sports, but I also want to prove to the radio stations in the media industry I can do more than just sports as well.
Yeah. News and sports. I mean, be a jack of all trades. I love using that phrase. Like you have to hit the ground running is what my dad would say. But like you have to be a jack of all trades in this industry because at the end of the day, sports is news. You know, for me, I'm an advocate for being a storyteller. Like the reason why I want to be a sports journalist is to be able to allow athletes, coaches, team representatives, whoever, to just make their voices heard, you know, and we have that outlet to be able to do so and to help them with that. So you really have to take those opportunities and just like we were talking about, be versatile, be a sponge, uh, take in everything you can, honestly.
Yeah, and I just love learning new things. And last night I directed my first volleyball game, university volleyball
Hmm.
game, and then I did replay,
Okay.
and I love it. I was a little nervous, but I really loved it, and it's just the learning aspect of it. I just love it because for 20 years in my
Yeah.
other profession, I stopped growing, I stopped learning, and
Hmm.
everybody in your industry has been really great with me, and nobody's judged me based on my age or whatever, or my not having the
Of course
schooling.
not.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so but yeah, that's I think that's great that you were able to come on here today and share your story as well. You've already answered a couple of questions, but here's one I wanted to ask you this question as well. Did you have a
Yeah.
mentor? Did you have a mentor or mentors when you first started up in journalism and in the broadcasting industry, and somebody that you
Yeah.
specifically looked up to in the national media?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I like I was telling you earlier, I always knew that journalism was something that I wanted to do, you know, and I think it sparked because like I've grown up playing tennis and my parents were really I'm the only child, so my parents were some of the people that I looked up to simply because of just the things that they did and the accomplishments that they've met and just how they carry themselves and you know, they teach those certain mantras and lessons to me that I literally see myself using in my everyday life, right? So as you know, me and my dad, we watch sports and stuff and like take tennis. You know, I started realizing that there were a lack of women that looked like me, that were sometimes doing the interviews and sometimes doing the commentary. And so I was like, maybe I want to try that, you know? And so I got to college and I was like, okay, I want to cater to all types of sports, whether that be football, basketball, tennis, and one person in particular, her name is Tiffany Green, and she is a graduate of Florida A&M University, came out of the broadcast program, and really just showed me that her herself as well as Pam Oliver, those were two women. They both went to Florida A&M, and I saw them and their strides that they made. Knowing that Tiffany Green is now my current mentor, but and I haven't quite yet met Pam Oliver, but just I watched them, you know, not saying on crazy things like I studied their work. You know, sometimes the old school way is the best way to look at things and to learn. You know, journalism is changing so much, and I feel like by watching them, I was able to just gain so much knowledge. You know, talking to Tiffany about so much advice, how to go about making your package when you're reporting, things to do when you think about when you're interviewing. You know, just how to be that game changer in the industry, and just seeing women like Tiffany Green, for example. You know, she commentates for HBCU football. You know, there were times where people told me I couldn't do certain things because I never played football. But to see women like Tiffany Green and Pam Oliver really just make those strides, especially as like Black women in this industry, I mean, it's amazing. I could go on and on about it, but those two were the first women that I realized, like, okay, this is what I want to do. And of course, I have so many mentors. I was blessed to be in organizations that provided mentorship from 21st Century Leaders, which was like a high school program I did, and it catered to like journalism and business. And I walked in the rooms where I never thought that I would walk in. And now I'm like an Emma Bowen Foundation Fellow, which provides so much mentorship and so much guidance when it comes to this industry, especially for people of color and even outside of just understanding the realms of this industry, you know. And so I'm learning from so many people and there are so many others that I really could think and really just say, you know, I look up to them, but I'm learning from everybody.
And one thing I've also learned as well, especially doing this podcast and media, is listening skills are huge. And what you just said there led to this question right here. Can you just tell my audience here in Ontario, I'm just outside of Toronto, about the Emma Bowen Foundation Fellow, like what
Yes,
it's all about?
yes. So the Emma Bowen Foundation is basically an organization that they help and they guide people of color within the industry. So it's not catered to just sports journalism. If you want to work in political journalism, if you want to go into PR, graphic design, anything related to journalism, the communication realm, the media realm. And the great thing about the organization, I went on the retreat. So every year, every summer they have a retreat. You get resume guidance. You work on your cover letter. You learn about being confident, about being yourself in rooms where, people will. I never realized how much people are alike when you realize that other people walk in a room and they're timid, or you may be dealing with some inner things like, man, I'm anxious. I'm walking into this football game. I may be the only woman in there, or I may be just the only person that looks like me, and you have those conversations and realize that others think and deal with the same thing. And so with the Emma Bowen Foundation, they really just teach you how to be that dominant person within this industry. But they also teach you so many skill sets. They introduce you to so many different people. There are so many amazing men and women that are now working with ABC World News, Good Morning America. They have partnerships with companies from Turner to the NFL, Turner Sports, the NFL, Warner Media, different things like that. And I think the great thing about the foundation is that they help open up doors that you probably would have never thought that you would have walked through, And so I really enjoy being a fellow. And right now they actually have a program for students that are graduating. So like me, and just really helping us get ourselves together when it comes to what do you do when you apply for a job? How does your resume look? There's a certain structure about when you have to put your resume together or your cover letter. Some of the things that you would never know if you don't ask or if someone won't tell you, right? So I really coined the Emma Bowen Foundation for really just helping and guiding students like me to really want to make it in this industry.
I was going to say that's just great to hear that story as well. Now, the one thing I wanted to ask you is, as well, Maya, is how important has an internship been in your career? And just tell us about your experiences with Fox 5 Atlanta and also with ESPN, what their digital team was like as well.
Yeah, I'm real glad to say, and I'm really blessed to be able to have had so many internships. But the story behind that, I think I was saying earlier, I was a part of an organization in high school, and they had a partnership with CNN at the time. And so I ended up applying, just to try my luck. A senior in high school, wanted to get my internship started. My parents were pushing me to do it anyway, so I was like, okay, cool. So I applied and I ended up interning with CNN News Source. And so in that entity of the internship, basically I learned the business side of the industry. Basically understanding how different assets work when it comes to acquiring like different stations. So like how CNN budgets and how they partner with different stations across the country. That was my understanding in that internship. So after that, I used that internship to say, you know what? I want to understand everything in the industry. So I got to college, and right away I reached out to professors and deans at Florida A&M, particularly professors like Professor Kenneth Jones or Professor Blackburn, who essentially talked to me as a freshman, right? Don't really know anything. And I also have to coin, her name is Isla Wilborn, and she actually was an anchor at the time at Florida A&M's TV 20 station. And so she was like, you should reach out. She's one of my mentors now. Back then, she was like, you should reach out and really just see what you can do. You want to go into sports, see what you can do at FAMU. Reached out to these professors. They were like, hey, go out to spring practice, go out to the football practice, talk to students like Avery or Ty or Bobby, and different students there. So that's what I did. I literally followed their steps and the instructions. I went out, I got training, I was asking questions. Soon I was able to complete like my first package as a freshman, which in turn allowed me to have like work in articles. I was writing articles. I was coming in, I was hitting the ground running. I say all that to say, because I hit the ground running and I was passionate. I wanted to get started in this industry. Even though there were professors that were like, you need to slow down. I was like, I don't want to slow down. Like, I just want to keep going, It was the grind. And so my sophomore year, I think, yeah, my sophomore year was when I got my first like journalism internship. And it was because I had all of the things that I did my freshman year. I had a package, I had articles that I wrote for the FAMU, and I had other things. So this internship was with Orlando Sentinel. And it was actually, I just found this out like a year ago that the internship was supposed to be for a senior. But because I had, of course, like professors saw something in me that honestly I probably didn't see in myself. But I also had the work to back me up. I was able to basically intern with Orlando Sentinel, and I wrote articles every game day for Florida State. Went to their home games, and of course, this is when COVID hit, so you had to follow the protocol between wearing your mask and staying distance when you were in the press box. Like,
Yeah.
and I had to adapt to that. Yeah, I had to adapt to that, but it was just an amazing experience because I was like, not only is this my first like real journalism internship, but there's so many ways I can take this and really use it to my advantage when it comes to learning new things. So then after that, I was able to apply for other internships, which led to things like um, Fox 5 Atlanta, working with their digital team, and how I go back to saying I wanted to understand everything. I worked for Fox 5 for 2 years. And through their digital team, I was able to understand how, like, the correct way when you're publishing articles. And that was strictly news, right? So that was a different realm for me. I was stepping into like an uncomfortable territory for me, but I learned so much news judgment. I learned about, like, man, like, there's so much crime going on, but at the same time, it's like, oh, I see this article. That's me. I wrote that. And so I did that for 2 years, and I just learned so much about the digital realm. It's digital is really growing in this industry, I will say. And so I was able to not only publish articles, but help with things on social media, publish videos on YouTube, utilize like SEO and how to use search engine optimization and understand what viewers look at and how viewer engagement is. Just the deeper side of what viewers, and I guess when you're scrolling through your phone, what you see from the other side of the screen, right? And so then I was able to intern with Turner Sports, which was like a production internship. So basically, I was able to understand archival footage and, create, me and two other guys. We had to create this film. It was so cool. And then finally, I interned with ESPN, and it was with their SEC department. It was kind of similar to Fox 5. I was doing literally the same thing, but more so on the SEC sports side. And through all those internships and just experiences that I've done at school, whether it's reporting, having to write articles, write my own script, produce my own show, I'm learning a lot, and I feel like that's what differentiates, or the greatest advice that, like I told you, you have to understand everything in the industry. And I literally kept telling myself from the time I got to FAMU to now I'm graduating, I said, every internship I blessed to receive, I want to be able to pick up something different. So that way I can add to my skill set, knowing that, yes, I want to be a sports journalist. And yes, I really want to work in the sports industry. But how can I use like the skill set of understanding how to log archival footage to use it for when I'm creating a package and I have to, create that. It's so much I can talk about. But I say all that to say, I was blessed to receive these internships because I knew that I wanted to be a sports journalist, and I knew that I wanted to understand everything in the industry, and I just went out and had to do it. But all my internships were fun. Like, I really loved them.
Hey, since I've got you on here, I got to ask you this. Any advice for someone that wants to do digital writing? They call it blogging, but I call it digital writing. I've started doing it for the last 9 months now, and
Hmm.
I created my own opportunities with the Canadian Football League, the National Basketball League of Canada, the AAA's Buffalo Bison. So when somebody's told me no, I basically went out and created my own opportunities, and a lot of these sports leagues
Yeah.
have been great with me. So any advice you could give myself or anybody watching or listening who wants to get into even just digital writing aspect of journalism?
Yeah, digital writing, like I said, the digital and social aspect of the industry is growing. I was talking to one of like the some of the people that used to be on one of my internships, and basically he was like, the worst someone can tell you is no. If you have a passion for writing, right? If you have a passion for being a storyteller, the worst someone can tell you is literally no. No one is stopping you from doing it yourself, right? Like how you said, you're a testimony to that. There are times where I have a sports page and I'll sometimes go on there and talk about like the Falcons or say, check out this highlight. Like I like to edit. So I'll do like a little hype boomerang video, add some sound, but I say if you want to go into the digital realm or no matter what realm within the broadcast or journalism industry, just take the opportunity by storm. If you have a passion for it, the most you can do is say, how can you write a piece on like Tom Brady, or you can find so much information on social media and on the internet that you can literally teach yourself, and that can also be a testimony to others when you reach out to people in the professional world, in the digital world, broadcast world, see, man, like he's really doing his thing. He's doing his own thing and he's really making strides. Consistency and having the passion is something that I feel like you can't teach. Like it has to be in you. You have to want something. My teacher in high school used to say, how bad do you want the A? Like how bad do you want to make it in this industry, right? And everybody's like, it's so competitive. You want to be on air. You want to be a journalist. And it's like, it may be competitive, but I know that there are journeys to it. It's like there's everybody has a testimony, right? And so you just have to be that living testimony and go at it and do it yourself. If someone tells you no, like you were talking about. Yeah, and I can also attest to say that I've become and really brought upon that mantra for me because I've read so many stories about like reporters and anchors. Like I forgot to even say, like one of the women that I first saw before like Tiffany Green or Pam Oliver was Josina Anderson. I used to sit there and literally watch her old like tapes when she used to work at like local stations. I used to just sit and I used to be like, man, like that's what I want to do. And I ended up doing that when COVID hit. I started doing interviews. I was like, hey, you want to get on Zoom and do an interview? Like players that go to FAMU, different players that saw my different athletes that saw my stuff on social media and they were down to do it. And you just have to take that opportunity. So yeah, just take the opportunity. And I say don't take no for an answer. I don't. I mean that it's good and bad, but just don't take no for an answer.
No, that's great stuff, Maya. And I also, when I started this podcast, it wasn't very good 3 years ago. I couldn't get guests on, but I never gave up. And I had a couple people
Yeah.
support me. And as soon as I got an actress on from Los Angeles, I started getting guys from the industry that I looked up to,
Oh
and they came
wow.
on. And I reached out, and everyone's like, Chris, how have you gotten all these people on your show? And I'm like, I reach out to people, I tell them what I'm doing, and 95% of the time, and I'm very lucky to have great guests such as yourself, and
Yeah. Oh,
podcast
thank
is only
you.
as good as its guest. And people think, oh, doing a
Yeah.
podcast at home is easy. It's a lot of work. I'm the producer, I'm the host, and I have to do
You're
guest
the
booking.
writer.
I do
Yes,
everything.
yes.
I do
You do
everything, and that's
everything.
and I love it. It's not work. I shouldn't even say the word work. It's something I have a passion for, and I love it. And I just love hearing your story and my guest stories, and it just keeps me motivated. And I always look forward to doing these podcast shows as much as I like doing camera work or doing my freelance media work. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to be like yourself, a jack of all trades.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the worst somebody can tell you is no, and just by you being that living testimony and being able to say, I've gotten countless amount of no's, I've gotten countless amount. Like when you go out and ask people, hey, this is my podcast, this is what I do. You want to be on it? It's either going to be a yes or a no, right?
No, yeah.
And it's like you still have to, of course, carry yourself like in a professional way and things like that. Like when people say tell you no, but it's also a testimony to realize like just work through adversity. Just work through adversity and really use those opportunities to show people like, this is what I'm doing. I'm passionate about it. And one person is going out of all the no's, you're always gonna get one yes. I always say that. You're always gonna get that one person that's gonna see something in you that either you don't see in yourself or maybe that others don't see. But because they see something in you, that should be the motivation and the drive. Like I use that in my life too. But yeah, like that should be the drive to keep going. Like somebody is gonna see something in you, and to get the fulfilling reward, like I'm doing this for a reason. I'm doing these podcasts for people to tell their stories. Or if you're a person that loves sports, hey, come on, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Let's have a fun time. You never know how these podcasts, no matter who's watching, could change someone's life or really just inspire them. You just never know.
I look at every podcast episode I do as an audition, and also too, don't take no as personal. Just use it as motivation. And I
Yeah.
I guess I can relate to Jalen Hurts, the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
He was told he was never good in college. He would not make it in the NFL. And I guess I'm like a
Yeah.
sort of like the underdog story. I don't look at rejection as a negative thing. I use it as motivation because
Use it as a strength.
I want to use it
Mm-hmm.
prove those people that said no to me that they were wrong about me, and just continue to improve, continue to grow
Oh,
and
yeah.
learn as well. And that's why, like I said, I love hearing other people's stories as well.
Yeah.
Now, is it okay before I ask you a couple more questions? Are you still good for time?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
It's a
I was just
Sunday. I was like, we're getting to combo.
no problem. I have your latest demo reel. I think you created it about 2 weeks ago, and I was just going to play it on here. Hopefully, technology doesn't let me down again today with the opening video. So 1 second, and I'm going to see if we can get this going.
OMG.
How important is it to
Whoops,
Technology.
be present? You talked about that when your introduction, and I love that. You said that you wanted to be present and you wanted to make yourself known to all of the athletes. How important is that to you?
Well, I think it's important for me to be visible because I want them to know that they always have access to me.
Head coach Willie Simmons said it best. The most difficult part about the game is pulling it together for 60 minutes. But the Rattlers have been proving that, coming off of a 5-game winning streak. And now we have a bye week. So the players are definitely ready for homecoming coming up. What's your why? Why are you out here? What's the end goal? What legacy do you want to leave? British professional boxer Tyson Fury will be releasing a cover of Neil Diamond's Sweet Caroline. As fans anticipate for 12 o'clock, we're waiting for Jackson State to take on North Carolina Central at this year's Celebration Bowl at no other than the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, the Peach State. And what were some of the lessons that you felt like you learned from your dad, being that he was a coach and he really was that influential factor for you?
So in the beginning, when I first started playing football in Little League, I ain't really care about football.
How you feeling? What's going through your head right now?
It feel amazing, you feel me? We was down, they were talked down on us the whole week. We the underdogs, 16-point underdogs, and we came and we did what we had to do. We disciplined, fucking ran the ball, man. It's Central football, man. Let's go.
What does this mean to you all?
It's the start of an era.
Yeah, it means everything. We starting up this program now. Everything gonna start for us. It's gonna change. Central's changing today. Changing today.
How is that being in your eyes, having to step up to the plate to show them that, hey, even though I'm a walk-on, I'm able to do X, Y, and Z, and exactly you're the X-Man for a reason. So how was that in your eyes?
It's just started with believing in myself.
Yeah, it's been really hot in Tallahassee when it comes to sports, but the Lady Rattlers, they're bringing the heat. In the midst of all this rain, competitors are ready to saddle up and hit the ground running for the 2022 Red Hills International Horse Trials.
Of celebrating its 40th year of accreditation, the first HBCU to hold that distinction, we have one of their very own, Maya Ellison, introducing us to the Bowler brothers, Kendall and BJ.
So we grew up with an athletic background. We played a lot of sports, from football, baseball, soccer, track. We did it all growing up.
Since they were kids, BJ, Kendall, and their sister Chloe knew that they would bleed orange and green. Their parents, Geisen and Kendra Bowler, graduated from FAMU in 1997 and opened the doors for their children to follow in their footsteps.
They pushed us a lot. They all on top of our grades. I was making sure we, doing treatment, just going in there, just doing the extra stuff. They don't want to see us at the bottom. They want to see us get to that top.
Their dad, Geisen Sr., introduced the boys to football and the stomping grounds to their athletic journey.
Coach, dad, mentor, all of that good stuff. It was just, he was just everything for us.
Getting to play right next to his older brother, Kendall says it pushes him to get the job done on the field.
It gives me a lot of courage. We've been playing since we were little boys together, so just him being next to me, I know he do his job, so I'm going to do my job. So I just play my part, he play his part, so it just plays out really good.
Kendall is looking to follow in his brother's footsteps. BJ wants his siblings to know to always be original and to be yourself.
stick with those who stick with you. Don't try to fake the funk for nobody. What's gonna happen for you in life will happen for you.
For BJ and Kendall Bowler, their kickoff to the Hill started long before hitting the field here at Florida A&M University. But their Rattler pride brought them back to brag, and you can catch them tomorrow against Southern University, and you don't want to miss it. For Black College Live, I'm Maya Ellison.
That was a great job, and it worked. I was worried that the technology was going to freeze again, so it's just not even touching. I wasn't touching my computer or anything, and just hoping the YouTube channel didn't freeze, because I always
just
like
do something.
Yeah, I kind of willed it to work, because, like I said, I always like to show a little video clip of my guest work, and that demo was real professional. Did you make it yourself?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I did everything that was in there. Like I said, I've never been a reporter. I would go out by myself basically. Never really have a cameraman, so I'm just trucking with my camera in one hand and the tripod in the other one. And I'll go out to events. And some of those clips, like I was at games, I had to do sideline interviews. And I was blessed to be able to be sports anchor at our TV station here on campus. FAMU TV 20, which is a station, is shown at 80,000 plus homes in the Tallahassee area. And so basically, I just went out and did my own thing. Like I don't know, I just took the opportunity. And like, for example, the package at the end, the woman that was introducing me, that was Tiffany Green. She works for ESPN, and so when she said, "Hey, do you want to do a package on BJ and Kendall Bowler?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, yes. And it turned out to be really good critiques from her, and was able to work on that, and just taking those opportunities by storm, and really just like we were talking about, don't take no for an answer. Don't do like I did. I have snuck on fields to get the job done. No joke. Like the Celebration Bowl, I'll tell the story. At the Celebration Bowl, this is what I mean when you really can't take no for an answer. So I wanted to capture just the energy of the stadium and really get those, like the interview at the end. And so one of the security guards, I think she was looking at my badge or my pass, because I had a pass for the press box. I didn't have a pass to be on the field. And so it was maybe like 30 seconds left. It was like I'll take that back. It was like 5 minutes left in the game. And so I'm like running down from the press box, because it was at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And so I'm like, ma'am, I'm supposed to be out there, like I was out there earlier. You saw me, like we made eye contact. You saw me. She was like, your pass doesn't say anything about the field, so you're not supposed to be going out there. And I was like, okay. So I was like, all right, thank you for your time. I walked right to the other side of the field and walked right on the field, because it's like, I knew that in order to like really get my whole thing, I wanted to capture the emotion of the players, and no matter who I interviewed, I was like, I have to be on there. And so because I was on the field, I was able to watch the game finish. I got so much footage. I got when the confetti was coming down, and I was able to interview players. And so that was a really good moment where I was like, work through adversity, don't take no for an answer.
Great stuff, and I've sort of done that with my freelance media work as well and stuff like that. But that I just love hearing that story. That leads to this latest question I wanted to ask you as well. How did you end up with your current role with FAMU TV 20, and what has that experience been like so far?
Yeah, so when I first got to FAMU, like I was telling you, one of my mentors, her name is Isla. She was actually an anchor for TV, it's called News 20 at 5, but TV 20 is like the class and things like that. So she was an anchor, and it's all student-led. Everything is student-led. We learn about EMPS, AP style, how to basically create your own rundown. And it's like I said, everything is student led, from writing the scripts to going out and being an MMJ to being a reporter to doing your live shots, like without a teleprompter at all, right? So I did all of that, like I was telling you, I came in and I hit the ground running my freshman year, and my sophomore year, I ended up auditioning for the role of sports anchor because I did my package last year, right? And I showed my professor, and he was like, just apply. So I applied, and I think because like there's only been 2 sophomores in like the history of them doing the show where they've taken on an anchor role. So I guess I was like the 3rd sophomore, and so I was like, okay, cool. And so when I was doing my like anchoring and stuff, I learned about getting ready for when you have to do a show. Like we were live. Like keep in mind, this is a live show. We're showing to 80,000 plus homes in the Tallahassee area. And I was just able to grow as a journalist. I was able to understand the inflections of tone when you're talking about certain stories, how to adapt to the changes of when you're talking about the highlights of the game to now players passed away. How do you go about the ethics behind that? On top of that, while I was an anchor, I also had to do stuff with news. So I was doing everything. We were talking about being a jack of all trades. So that was the start of me being a sports anchor. And then my junior year, I was still working with the station, but I was doing news. I was doing live shots. So basically, I was going up to our convergence area, which is where they have a camera set up, and you kind of see the computers around. It gives you like the news desk setting. If you're watching like ABC World News or you're watching like CNN, you can kind of see the desk and whatnot. So I would go up there. They would give me my script, and I would just memorize and go. Really had to learn how to adapt when it comes to a news story and what you're doing when you're kind of have to ad lib, you're writing your own stuff, things like that. And so then last year was the year I was sports anchor again. So I've been sports anchor twice. And this time I was doing sports anchor and I was a multimedia journalist, which meant that my teacher said, you need to go out each week and you basically have to bring in a story. Whether that be a story about, since we're in the Capitol floor, going to the Capitol, doing things about politics. Some of my stories dealt with politics, what's going on in the Tallahassee area, but I also had to implement sports stories. So that meant writing my own script, going into ENPS, and of course, utilizing AP style to like take package. And this is what I'm drawing a blank right now, but basically creating your headline and things like that. Like I love it because you can understand everything. Like I just like writing. I like writing. I like telling stories. I like going out and getting things done. And I was able to do all that as an MMJ and as an anchor. So I got like the best of both worlds. And so now I still do it. Like right now, though, I do things with sports and news, but not more so on the anchor level. I'm just a reporter. So I'll go out and, go be my own producer, my own writer, editor, and of course, like meeting deadline. But all of those skill sets are transferable within no matter what you do. When it comes to meeting deadline, you can use that in the digital realm. When you're writing a script, you can use that in writing an article. It's all transferable. That's why I love journalism. Like everything is transferable. And so I really enjoy what I do. And I've just been blessed to be able to start so early in my college career and now getting ready to graduate and see my progression of how I started as an anchor and now how I look now as an anchor. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome stuff. And I was going to say, the word that describes you is go-getter. Passion, obviously.
Thank you.
I think your passion's even more than mine. And go-getter. As soon as the way you talk about stuff, that's what you got to do in this industry. Nothing is given to you. You have to go out and do it yourself. You have to go out and get it.
Yeah, nothing is given to you. Like nothing is handed to you on a silver platter, right? I sound like my dad, but like literally nothing is given to you on a silver platter. Like you have to go out and get it. And I can't take all that credit. Like my parents and growing up, of course, like I was saying, I'm an only child, growing up in a Christian household, always looking to God. Not saying my story is perfect. My story is far from perfect. I've gotten so many no's. There are times where I've been depressed, filled with anxiety, compare myself to others because it's like, because it's just like you look at other people's story and it's like sometimes the thoughts, which is not good, it's like, man, I want to get there, but you're not going to get there tomorrow. God's plan is to allow you to realize that the plan takes time. And if you just listen to him and listen to his word, and of course, like listening to the guidance now, my parents would disagree if I was like in high school or middle school, but now being in college and really just listening to their guidance and their advice has really taken me far. And so that's why I'm like, I cannot take this credit at all, you know? And that's really why I have that, I guess, that personality, that go-getter type of energy, because it was taught to me from my parents and from growing up in a Christian household.
And we have some comments on here. The Life of Sydney says, "Hey Maya," and and a radio station in Georgia, ironically, who's on my Facebook page, I think
Oh, wow.
QEK. Great job. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm trying to get my
Hey,
audience a little bit
cool.
more involved with my podcast shows as well. But I was gonna say too, yeah, sometimes when you get told a lot, no and turned down, it kind of does get you down. But then you realize this is something you want to do, and it's a passion, and you obviously have a very strong
Yeah.
passion, and you have a great story there as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are you okay for a couple more questions? A few more minutes?
Mhm. Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
Can you just tell us about your current role with the radio station as their sports director? And what is a daily day like at a radio station? And what are some of the major differences between the TV side and the radio side?
Yeah, of course. That's actually like a very new role to me. Like I'm still learning and still like trying to plan and prepare and stuff. So I was introduced to the role by the manager and the director over the entire radio station. His name is Terrence. And so I was like, is anybody applying? Like, I want to see, like, what are you looking for? And he was just saying someone that can really help and guide the, I guess, like the sports department in this case for the radio station. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. Not knowing that that try would allow me to gain this position. And so like we're really just getting started. We have meetings every month with the radio station. It's not just me. There are other students that are taking these type of roles, from news directors, working over like the audio and the visuals and social media, really just trying to find ways to get that digital and social content because it's a radio station, right? So with my role, basically I look and kind of see different sports shows and kind of what they're doing. All of the guys and some of the girls that are working, they do great. They're amazing. So it's like I kind of don't have to do much, but now we are actually planning, starting to hit the ground running and trying to plan things like 3-on-3 basketball tournaments to really get um, people to say, "Oh, hey, look, this is 90.5. We also have sports. We have news, entertainment, anything you want to do. Like we're here." And so that's kind of in the works right now. But I really like the position because I'm learning a lot about like leadership, and then also to teach time management, how to work with others. Some of the things that it's like that's kind of cliche, but really it helps in this industry because you have to work as a team in journalism, in radio, in no matter what you're doing. And sometimes you're met with problems, you're met with issues, or sometimes things go smoothly. But I feel like because it's fairly new and I'm even learning about like, hey, maybe I can do better on time management, maybe I can do better in, doing certain things. Like I'm learning so much, but fairly new, and I can't wait to see what is going to happen up until, like May. But for now, we're really working on the basketball tournament and make sure everything looks good with social media, which is like another department. But yeah, it's been really fun. Like I really enjoy it.
And it's truly a team effort. That's what I love doing.
Mhm.
With my camera work or what I did last night with the university. Everybody
Mhm.
needs to play a part. The camera guy, the audio
Yeah.
guy, the graphics guy, the producer. The producer is like the quarterback of a broadcast, which you have to be good
Yeah.
at everything. So much respect, and to make a good broadcast or even a live stream, everybody has to do their jobs.
Yeah, I got my first look into like the behind the scenes world, like seriously, like a couple weeks ago. So I take a class at Florida State, which is it's like Seminole Productions. And so basically, I think I posted on like my LinkedIn, but I was learning, never even knew this was a job. I was like, wow, kudos to anybody that works the shading when it comes to videos. I was like, wow, this is really awesome. So they had me doing shading one day. Another day, I was learning how to put up graphics when it comes to doing like a live game and working the Jumbotron for like softball and basketball, or like being behind the camera, or knowing what the producer does, how you're supposed to set up a camera on a game day. Like I was like, man, like this is a team effort. I was like, I don't know anyone that can do this by themselves, because they would literally be pulling their hair out, because it's a lot that goes into live production. And so I was like, man, like this is awesome. And so they had me doing shading like by myself. I think this was like last week for a softball game, and it was raining. So I had to constantly switch all of the irises and move the white balance and things
Yes.
like that. Yes, because I was like, man, like this is a lot of work, but this is fun, because it's like I think one of the highlights that was on Sports Center actually was from a Florida State softball game the other day, and they were telling me, they was like, okay, the shading has to be right. You never know who's gonna see this, and just like you never know who's watching, and so all of that and me learning all of that has been like amazing. So it is a team effort for sure.
Absolutely. Speaking of that, I have a quick story to share with you. I did camera work for the local university here, basketball team, the other day, and they were down by 2 points. And I was the camera guy, and everybody's like, okay, game's over. There's only 1 second left. The one player who's going to be on my show next week, Rashad Weeks, a guard, he just threw up a Hail Mary past half court that went in to win the game. And I was the only camera guy.
Caught it?
I caught it, and 400,000 views. I wasn't the broadcaster, obviously, but my work was shown on viral, like all these social media sites, just as a camera operator. And I was like, that's me, that's my work. And it just felt great. I know I didn't win the game or whatever, but it was just, I was even as a camera operator, you still got to work like the players. You can't take a play off. You can't let up until the end of the game. But it was just nice to see my camera work all over Canada and North America on this Hail Mary crazy shot at the end of the game.
That is awesome. Yeah, and you even said something that I feel like everyone can resonate to. No matter if you're the broadcaster, you don't have to be on camera. If you know that you did that, you wrote that article, you put that post out on social media for ESPN, or you filmed that Hail Mary, like anything, no matter what, like it's just the rewarding feeling of knowing like, hey, I did that. Like I can put that on my resume,
Absolutely. And I just wanted to share that story with you. And like you said, it was just awesome being a part of that. I've been I filmed a lot of sporting events, but never one with that kind of crazy type of ending.
Crazy thing happening, I know. And you was the only one that caught it?
Yes.
Dang.
And
That's awesome.
Definitely. I'll have to send you a clip of it. There was a clip of it on social media, so I'll definitely send you one. And the announcers, it was all female announcers too that day. It was Women's Day.
See, that's even here. That's cool too.
yeah. So they were they were a little excited as well, but it was just amazing to be a part of that. So even if it was university, still amazing. Yeah. Now this last question, I got 2 more questions and we'll wrap this up. This one I had to ask you as well, Maya. What has been your most memorable, I didn't say favorite, most memorable story you've written so far and live interview you've done so far in your career?
The most memorable interview? That's a good question. I feel like I've done so many. I have to say, when last year we started working on, so there's another show that we have here at FAMU. It's like a sports center type of show, like called Rattler Take, like First Take, but Rattler Take. And long story short, we did stories with like the package that I think was at the end of my reel, Kendall and BJ. It was like I had to go in and do an interview, and then I did this interview with another player. His name was Nudarius. And so both of those interviews had to be the most memorable. And I'll say because it was the most relaxed, not only I've ever been, but I feel like they have ever done, because it was about being vulnerable and really just telling your story. That was the whole initiative for me interviewing them. Like I wanted to them to tell their story. And that like I was saying earlier, that's the reason why I want to be a journalist, to be able to allow athletes, coaches to be able to tell their stories in elements where they feel like they've never been able to. And I have to say that was the most memorable. Oh, there's one more too. I was a part of this program and it's called Galvanize. And Galvanize is basically for women in sports, no matter who you are. You can apply. It's led by Laura Oakman. She's a reporter for Fox Sports for like 30 plus years. And basically, it was an amazing, amazing, amazing 2 to 3 days because we were able to partner with a team. So because I'm from Atlanta, I partnered with the Atlanta Falcons, and I was able to learn how to be vulnerable, not only to help players be vulnerable to you, but how you can be vulnerable to others. Because imagine if someone comes up and they're like, "Hey, we need you to talk about this moment in your life," and you're like, "I don't, know you." And so we had to connect with these players, and there were some times where I had to explain to them certain things that were happening in my life during then. And the player that I had, Tyler Algier, he ended up explaining some of the things that were happening in his life. And so it was really memorable because it was inspiring to know that I was able to learn some of these elements when it comes to interviewing, but also just getting to understand that at the end of the day, like, athletes are just people like you and me. Like that, I always say that because I feel like when people I don't know are outside of my friends and associates that are like, "Oh, you work in sports? Have you ever met so and so? Have you ever met so?" And it's like they're just people like you and me. Like I just feel like we put athletes, professional athletes, on pedestals, and it's like, as a reporter, my whole initiative is just to allow the viewers, or like your average everyday basketball viewer, football viewer, baseball, whoever it is, to say like, "Hey, I can connect to them," or, "Hey, they go through anxiety and like thoughts and so many other things like you and me." Like, so I thought that was memorable and also just inspiring to do all of those interviews because I was able to be vulnerable with them and they were able to be vulnerable with me as well, to tell their story.
Great stuff. And the word I'm looking for is build a rapport. You build a rapport with somebody, you build their trust, and the more
Yeah.
comfortable. Sometimes with guests on my podcast show, they've come on and they were kind of like a little nervous or a little hesitant with me. And then sooner they opened up a subject that they're very passionate about, they opened up and then they became more comfortable with me. So my job as a podcast host or doing freelance media work is to actually exactly what you said, build a rapport, trust with somebody, and also be
Yeah.
vulnerable. Share your stories with your interviews as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's nothing like getting that emotion, and it's I guess you would say like the genuine feeling of knowing like you're doing this for a reason because you're passionate about, like how you're saying, build a rapport, or for me, like really being able to allow athletes, or I can walk away and say, "Hey, they told their story and I was able to help put that out to the world." I think when you do it genuinely, then it's like unlike no other.
They can sense if you're not being yourself, even on a podcast
Exactly,
show.
yeah.
Don't be somebody that you're not, because the audience and your guests will pick up that right away. So I try to be myself. I'm not perfect. I do make mistakes, but I think generally my audience and my guests are willing to. They like me because I try to be myself on here. Be you.
Be you. Hashtag be you.
Definitely. And then just two quick questions. This one's a fun question I do with my guests too. What is your favorite music band, sports teams, favorite athletes, and is there a favorite restaurant in Florida that you like to go to? That way, when I do visit Florida at some point in my new vehicle, I'll be able to go there as well.
Okay, well, I'll start with teams because like my dad is the reason why I am in Atlanta. Everything like Falcons, Braves,
Hawks.
Yeah, all of that. Music, I really like all type of music, honestly. I'm more of like hip hop. It depends on what day. Like if I'm more like, okay, like I'm trying to be hype and stuff, like hip hop, or I like soft R&B. It's like different. It's just a vibe. Like artists, this guy's name is Brent Fayez. I like him. Dang, I have a playlist that has like 4 days worth of music. I will put the
Wow.
link in there. Yeah, like I really do love music. I like
Yeah.
all type of music. Both of my parents, my dad used to have this. I think we still have it. I don't know, but it's like this CD. It was like a CD. It turned and it had like a bunch of CDs on it. It was like a CD display, and he had so much like old school music, like Michael
Okay.
Jackson, Prince, Earth, Wind
Yes.
and Fire, the Gap Band, and so
Good
I
selection.
listened.
Good selection.
See, good selection, and so I'm starting to realize like I like that type of music. So on certain days, I'll like play my old school music that has all that type of music, and I feel like people are gonna be like, "Oh, that's so old," and it's like y'all are missing out on good music. I don't care. Oh,
Yeah.
and favorite. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was like, favorite restaurant? I don't know. If you were asking my friends, what do I eat? The top 3 is Chick-fil-A, Chipotle, and Zaxby's. I don't really know if there's like a restaurant here that I'm like, oh yeah, you should definitely go. There's this Mexican restaurant. It's like maybe 15 minutes from campus or 10, 15 minutes. It's called Casa Grande. So if you like Mexican food, I think you should go there. It's really good food, and I like Mexican food. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't
I do
really have a
too.
favorite restaurant.
I do.
Yeah,
I love
I don't really
Mexican
have a
food.
favorite restaurant.
I like my guacamole dip, and I like spicy Mexican
See,
food.
and the
Yes.
queso. Okay, so you like
Yes.
spicy. See, I like spicy. I guess instead of restaurants, like I'll do Mexican food here or like Thai food,
Yeah.
like Asian food. I love that type of stuff because I like spicy food. So it's like I can deal with it.
Definitely. I got one more comment. I think this is from Hawkins. Sushi and Thai food.
Yeah, top tier. Oh, and sushi. Sushi is like
Sushi?
number 1.
Okay, I think I'll pass
He's
on
right on
sushi.
point.
And he's got another comment. No way she forgot that. Thank you so much for watching as well. I appreciate that. So no, this is great. The comments coming in. That's great. I really appreciate the comments, and he was also able to follow me on my social media pages as well, which is great as well.
I saw that was cool.
Definitely. And last question before we wrap this up. And I'm sorry I kept you over 40 minutes, but I
No,
really
it's okay.
appreciate
This is fun. I'm having fun.
my original show was called 30 Minutes Live with CDP, but I had to change it because a lot of my shows usually generally go
We'll go
about an
over
hour.
30.
So I guess I'm
Yeah.
doing something right if my guests want to talk to me for an hour or so.
Exactly.
But I learned too, if my guest only has 20 minutes, I do 20 minutes. And one thing I didn't bring up with you, and you know this as well, being in the industry, is the word flexible. You always got to be flexible in the industry, no matter if it's TV, radio, live streaming, digital writing. You
Exactly.
have to be flexible.
Exactly. I agree.
And this leads to my last question. What advice would you give to those, not just myself, who are looking to pursue a career in journalism, broadcasting, and where can my audience find you on social media?
I feel like we've been giving advice like the whole time, but I mean, I'll kind of sound like repetitive, but really like just go out and be yourself. Like in this industry, I feel like it is competitive. I'll say like for me, my journey to wanting to either be like an on-air talent or be work with behind the scenes radio production, no matter what it is, everything is competitive, right? But as long as you're genuine, as long as you're yourself and really just use the opportunities when people say no, or, like at this time, I always get emails like that. At this time, we were unable to select you for da 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 da. But what I will say, the best advice I got is when you get no's for when you're going out and pursuing those positions, email them back and not only say thank you for allowing me to get this far in the process, but also ask them, do you have any tips or critiques about my resume or about me as a journalist that I can work on so I can use that to try again when I go out and apply? And I've gotten responses where like I've been ignored when I ask that question, or sometimes people are taken aback, but in a good way, because you don't meet people at a lot of times where they ask for critiques. And it took me a long time to get there, because if you ask my parents, like I'm the type of person where I used to hate constructive criticism. And sometimes it's hard for me to hear it now, because it's like I I want to be perfect and I want to hit everything on the head when it comes to my packages and writing scripts and articles, and the constructive criticism will help you, even though it's hard to hear, but it will help you. So when you ask for constructive criticism after an interview, or if you ask for constructive criticism after you get a no on an application, that way you can write down, okay, this is what they said I need to work on. I'm going to use this amount of time to work on it. I'm doing that right now. I'm sending my reel to different news directors and I'm like, hey, what are you looking for when it comes to a sports reporter or sports and news reporter and MMJ? Because of course, everybody's reel is going to look similar, right? But think about the ways that you want to stand out, whether that be like singing in your packages or doing things that really help you just be genuine, basically. And so that's what I'll say. Be genuine. If you get a no, just try again. And really just follow your passions. I mean, like we were talking about earlier, the worst someone can tell you is no. And just ask questions. I ask questions all the time. And it's not annoying because it's like you want to learn. I'm a college student, really about to get ready to get into the next stage of my life. And so, of course, I'm going to ask for advice. And I've been blessed to be able to have people that have responded and have given me a ton of advice. And so, yeah, hopefully that helped. I mean, you can find me on Instagram at the Maya Ellison. I'm usually on Instagram and I see like my Twitter is at the bottom. I just realized that. That's kind of cool. And yeah, everything is on like my social media is all the same. Maya Ellison. My Twitter is Maya Faith. So yeah, I was just glad to be on here. Thank you. I really thought this was really dope and really cool, and just able to both of us to share our stories and advice. And like we were talking about earlier, you never know who's listening or watching and who will come across and be like, hey, that was good advice, and they'll take it and run with it.
Absolutely. And I know building a podcast audience is a lot of work and it takes time. You just don't start a new career
Yeah,
and all
it
of a
does
sudden get
take
new
time.
audience. But my audience is slowly building up. And one thing you just said there too, Maya, I need to do is when someone does turn me down, just to write them back nicely and just say, hey, what could I do to improve? To improve my chances
Yeah.
for a next opportunity. That's one thing I need to work on, and making my own demo reels and editing. So there's still a lot of this industry I need to work on and keep learning as well.
Yeah, and the thing is, like everyone's going on the right track. Like we were talking about when you can go on YouTube and say how to use Final Cut Pro, or like if you're a type of person where, for example, I'm learning hockey. Like I am
Oh,
learning hockey right now, and I will
great.
go and look. Yes, I will go and say hockey 101, for example, like
Yeah.
and it's just like I say all that to say you can literally go on Google and just find everything,
Oh,
and if
if
you're
you ever
passionate. Yeah.
absolutely. If you ever want to pick my brain about hockey, I'd be glad to help you out there as well.
Yes, please. i
Yes.
am a I am a football, basketball, tennis, baseball, you
Oh,
name it. Hockey is new and I'm like, I'm gonna learn it.
and you should check out the National Lacrosse League. It's called the NLL, the National Lacrosse League.
Mhm.
It's a combination of hockey and basketball. If you can ever
Mhm.
Google the National Lacrosse League and just watch some of their highlights, you'll love
Okay.
the game. The lacrosse players are great athletes, and it's so exciting as well.
Yeah, I feel like there's a field outside of like where I stay, like it's like a soccer field, but there are some lacrosse teams. I think some of the high schools here have lacrosse teams. So you just remind me of something. Maybe I should check and see if I can go to a lacrosse and just see how it is.
There's two types of lacrosse. There's field lacrosse, which is outdoors, and then there's
Mhm.
box lacrosse, which is played in NHL type arenas. So, yeah, check
Yeah.
check them both out. The field lacrosse, I don't know a lot about. I'm gonna have to learn that game, but the box lacrosse, the indoor game, is just amazing. If you get a chance to check out NLL.com, and I've done some freelance media work with the Buffalo
Oh, that's
Bandits.
cool.
Yes.
Well, that is so
So,
cool. Okay, I'm gonna check
yes,
that out. I'm gonna have to
yes.
remember that.
Yeah, and maybe I'll pick your brains about stuff too, because like I said,
Yeah.
I always learn something new from my guests, and I hope they learn something new about me as well. So it's about
Yes.
learning. I love learning.
Yes, this was
So
awesome, and I'm so glad I was able to just come on and share my story, advice, and just have a
yes.
good time. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I was going to say, if you can give me a little bit of time, I'm going to just go for a hike when we're done this show. I got to get my exercise in. Then I'm going to download this podcast to my audio
Mhm.
platforms, and I will send you
Okay.
a copy of the audio version. And right now, the YouTube version will be available as soon as we wrap this up.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I was going to say, so, and I pronounced your name right? Maya?
Mhm.
Maya, okay. And that's one thing too. Name pronunciation is especially important on live interviews, podcasts. And if you're not sure, ask your guests ahead of time or use a
Yeah.
website. There's websites out there that can help you as well.
That can tell you. Yeah, I use that
Yeah,
too.
because it's just professionalism. And I was going to say, you're one of my favorite guests, and the 1 hour plus time we've talked
Really?
to you. Yes. So we've talked for what, 70 minutes, and it's just gone by so
Yeah.
quick. And I really appreciate you giving me some time and
Oh,
sharing
you're
you my stories.
welcome.
Is this your
This
first
was so
Canadian
fun.
podcast? Is this your first
Yes.
podcast in
When
Canada?
I Yes, when I found out that you're from Canada, I was telling my friends, I was like, I'm gonna be on a podcast and he's from Canada.
So
I was like, okay. I've never been to Canada. My parents have, but I've never been. But I want to go one day.
you should ask him what part of Canada, because Canada's got like 10 provinces. They're like what provinces here are like what states are, and we have about 10
Okay.
provinces. We don't have the population that the states does, but we have the second most
Mhm.
land in the world behind after Russia. So we have
Man,
lots of land here in Canada.
man, yeah. I think my dad used to have to go to Canada for, I think it was like Ontario or something. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
where I
Don't
live
quote
in
me.
Ontario. Yeah, province
Oh,
of
cool.
Ontario. That's
Yeah.
where I'm. Yeah, I'm about an hour from Toronto. Toronto's our version of New York City.
Yeah, okay. I
Expensive
was
and
like
crazy busy.
the only reason why I know the Toronto and Ontario is because of Drake. Don't quote me on that either.
Yes, Drake used to come to where I worked to gamble. He would wait until
Really?
like midnight, 2 in the morning, and he would
Uh-huh.
take his entourage, and they would go into a VIP room in the casino, and he would like to lose some money. But he's yeah. Yeah, but he apparently has never forgot where he came from, and he always does charity work and stuff like that as well.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
So, but hey, we'll definitely keep in touch with you on social media, and maybe we'll have you back again as a guest in the future if you
Yeah, of
wish
course.
to come back on again as well. And I pick your
Yeah,
brain
this
more
was
about your
fun.
media work and stuff as well. But I want to say, Maya, thank you so much for coming on live with CDP Sports Talk today, and I hope you have a great rest of the day and the
Thank
week
you.
coming ahead. Our favorite day is coming up tomorrow, Monday. The dreaded Monday.
The dreaded Monday.
Monday.
I
Yes.
know.
So, all right. Well, thank you again for coming on live with CDP, and we'll definitely have this sent to you on audio link in the next hour or two. Okay.
Thank you so much. This was awesome.
Thank you so much, and we'll keep in touch with you on social media. Have a great evening, Maya.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed season 5, episode 27 today with Maya Ellison. She's the sports director at WANM 90.5 FM in Tallahassee, Florida, and she's a college student as well. And I really appreciate Maya giving us some time today as well. Before we wrap up this podcast show, guys, this is episode 247 I just completed today. Some news. Family Day in Ontario is tomorrow, Monday, February 20th. The National Basketball League of Canada, which I'm a media affiliate, has a doubleheader on NBL CTV. The London Lightning, the defending champs, at the Windsor Express at 2 p.m. Aaron Sanders with that call. And then the Kitchener-Waterloo Titans season opener is versus the Sudbury 5 at 2:30. So check out NBLC TV tomorrow for the London Windsor game at 2 o'clock at a sold out WFC Center. at WFCU Center in Windsor, and then the Kitchener-Waterloo Titans open up their season against the Sudbury 5 in Sudbury at 2:30 tomorrow. Again, check out NBLC TV as well. The next Small Talk podcast show with hosts Andy Carol Woolery and myself, Chris Palme, will be this Saturday, February 25th at 1 p.m. Eastern, live streamed on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, and the Small Talk podcast Facebook page, and audio via iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, etc. Our guest will be Gail Smith. She is a personal trainer and fitness person, and she's going to come on and talk about her business. And she also deals with mental well-beings and also mental health. She deals with mental health, and also she's a fitness and nutritionist as well. So looking forward to that. So next Saturday at 1 o'clock, Small Talk Podcast, Season 1, Episode 2 with Andy, Carol Woolery, and myself. Gail Smith will be our guest, and we'll be talking about fitness, nutrition, and mental health as well. Next Live with CDP Sports Talk, Season 5, Episode 28, brought to you by Barry Collins Chevrolet, Wednesday, February 22nd at 4:30 Eastern with Hutton Jackson. He is an Emmy award-winning producer, sports media professional with the Action Network in the States, and he also produces sports betting video content for the Action Network's award-winning app and social media and YouTube channels as well. So hope you guys can tune in for the next Live with CDP podcast this Wednesday, February 22nd, 4:30 Eastern with Hutton Jackson as well on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn, and later on all of my audio platforms as well. Just reading the comments here. Let's see. Hawkins, awesome episode. Thank you so much for following me on social media and for watching today's episode with Maya Ellison. I think she was a great guest, great story. So thank you so much. Really appreciate your support. And WQEE Key, thank you so much for the kind words. Great job as well. And speaking of that, I want to say thank you to everybody on my social media platforms. Live stream, Live with CDP Sports Talk is live streamed on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn. I want to say thank you to everybody for watching this today, live streamed as well. Also, guys, you can check my website out, beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme. All my previous podcast shows, all my social media work, live interviews, and my social media sites are on beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme as well. Live with CDP Sports Talk, again, is sponsored by Barry Collins Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycollin.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles. And again, guys, Barry Collins Chevrolet now has a Cadillac Lyriq, an all-electric Cadillac Lyriq that's now available for a test drive at Barry Collins Chevrolet. Either contact them at info@barrycollin.com or call them at 519-824-0210 to pre-book an appointment to test drive the all-electric Cadillac Lyriq. It's a beautiful looking vehicle, and like I said, guys, I'm quite happy with my Chevy Trailblazer. But again, check out Barry Collins Chevrolet for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, especially the Cadillac Lyriq, the all-electric one. Again, if you're interested in a test drive, please give them a call or give them an email at info@barrycollins.com as well. You can follow me on TikTok at Live with CDP. I post a lot of video and social media content on TikTok. Again, at Live with CDP or CDP there as well. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports Talk podcast. If you're into webinars or podcasting, check out StreamYard. Great customer service, and it's a great product as well. As we wrap this up, Live with CDP Sports Talk podcast, the audio version is available on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Stitchered, and Tuned In. And I want to say thank you to everybody for listening to my podcast show on my audio platforms. I have listeners now in 24 countries across the world. So again, thank you for everyone for watching this live stream and on my audio platforms as well. And guys, before we wrap this up, any comments or questions about my podcast show, Live with CDP Sports Talk, you can always email me at cpomay, that's cpomay, Pomay, 19@gmail.com with comments or questions or suggestions for my podcast show as well. And you guys can also follow me on LinkedIn, Chris Pomay. I post a lot of content on LinkedIn as well. And you guys can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter at Chris D. Pomay, Instagram, Chris Pomay. And also, guys, please subscribe and hit like to my YouTube channel as well. And I'm at 150 subscribers. And I want to say thank you to everyone that's subscribed to my YouTube channel as well. And again, guys, before we wrap this up, again, my next Small Talk podcast with my co-host, and Andy, Carol Woolery, and myself will be Saturday, February 25th at 1 p.m. with guest Gail Smith to talk fitness, nutrition, and mental health. And it'll be live streamed on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn as well, and also on the Small Talk podcast Facebook page as well, if you wish to check that out. And again, guys, season 5, episode 28 of Live with CDP Sports Talk, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet, will again be this Wednesday, February 22nd at 4:30 with Hutton Jackson, an Emmy award-winning producer and sports media professional with the Action Network in the United States. So hope you can tune into that show with Hutton Jackson this Wednesday, February 22nd at 4:30. And that wraps it up, guys. Again, I want to say thank you to my guest today, my wonderful guest, Maya Ellison, coming on today, sports director at WANM 90.5 FM in Tallahassee, Florida. And she's also a college student as well. And she's working hard on a career in the media broadcasting industry. So please check her out as well on her social media pages as well. Thank you, everybody, for watching Live with CDP Sports Talk on this Sunday, February 19th. And we'll see you guys Wednesday, February 22nd at 4:30 with Hutton Jackson. I hope everybody has a great rest of the weekend. And in Ontario, enjoy your family day. Enjoy your family day holiday tomorrow, Monday, February 20th, here in the province of Ontario. Have a great evening, everybody, and we'll see you Wednesday at 4:30 with Hutton Jackson for the next edition of Live with CDP Sports Talk, again brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Good night, everybody, and thanks for watching and listening to Live with CDP podcast.